In the Middle Ages, which cover approximately the period from the Norman invasion of Britain in 1066 to the end of the Wars of the Roses in 1485, England moved from being an almost exclusively agricultural, feudal society to a society on the threshold of creating an empire. Medieval society was based on the feudal system, which can be said to have come of age in England under William the Conqueror. He introduced the idea that all land was the property of the crown to dispose of as the king thought fit. Large tracts of countryside were granted to the king's supporters, who, in return, were bound to pay rent and offer their services when required. This usually meant supplying a certain number of armed knights in time of war. The lords would then rent their land to tenant farmers under similar conditions. These farmers were known as serfs or villeins, and their lives were overshadowed by extreme hardship. A serf was effectively the property of the lord for whom he worked. He was not permitted to leave the land and go where he wished. If he tried to, he would be brought back and punished. Neither could he marry without the permission of the lord, which was also required should the serf wish to allow his son or daughter to marry. On the death of the serf, an heir had to pay a tax to the lord before he could continue to farm, besides what was known as a heriot, often the best animal on the farm. On top of the burden of working his own land to feed his family, the serf had to spend about 3 days each week working on the land of his lord, a service rendered in lieu of rent, ploughing, sowing, harvesting, of course, but also repairing the manor house, building barns, and running errands to the local villages. A very time-consuming and tiring business.